So if you come close to me, it's at your own risk. As I take off this mask, and maybe you've got Sputnik or Cypher or whatever in your system. But thank you very much, Ayanda, and the chair of the board, Tate Leonard Ramatakani, and members of the board of directors of Prasa who are with us here today. And I think they will be properly introduced at a given point in time. The group CEO of Prasa, Tate ZK Zolani Matthews, and the entire management of Prasa, which I think also will be introduced as and when they make presentations, which I think it should be a business-like presentation, capture the important parts of the presentation for the business we are here for. Part of this work have already been presented in Parliament through what we call a corporate plan. And the minister on Friday pronounced on the budget in the MTF for the Department of Transport. And this is what we are all about today. Prasa remains one of the strategic state-owned entity in our country with a critical and pivotal mandate of providing safe, affordable and reliable transport to the poorest of the poor. The recently published National Households Travel Survey 2020 confirms that passenger rail is the least expensive mode of public transport compared to all other modes, yet unavailable, and where available, it is overcrowded. In order to address some of these challenges faced by Prasa, the funding for Prasa over the medium term is estimated at 27.2%, which is 57 billion rand of the department's budget. This is a large part of the department budget, which increases from 66.7 billion in 2021 to 2022 to 70.2 billion and 72.5 billion in the outer years. Now, you will realize that this is not only our commitment, this is what we presented on Friday. And this explains exactly where are we as a Department of Transport in this country when it comes to passenger rail services in the Republic. So we walk the talk. We don't just put lip service and don't support, because somebody will ask, you say Prasa is a priority, but what is its allocation in terms of its budget, and how does it actually become a priority in this particular instance? This is a large part of the department allocation. The investment we are making in passenger rail is part of the implementation of our overarching rail-to-road strategy, which is crucial to us positioning rail as the backbone of our public transport system. While Prasa has struggled for many years to roll out its modernization program due to chronic challenges, we have no doubt that our intervention will place Prasa on a stable footing. The modernization program is meant to improve the reliability of services by reconstructing dilapidated infrastructure, secure the infrastructure and increase the number of trains to avoid overcrowding. It therefore entails focused spending on repairs and maintenance as part of Prasa's rolling stock fleet renewal program, as well as improved security system. The recent appointment of a permanent board and CEO for Prasa is not only expected to lead to the intensified implementation of its modernization program, but will accelerate the process of building requisite capacity to ensure that it remains a viable entity. Challenges at Prasa range from leadership instability, lack of critical skills, and organizational structure that is not responsive to the needs of Prasa, vandalism and theft of rail infrastructure, inadequate and outdated rail rolling stock and infrastructure, rail reserve encroachment that interrupt train services, and financial mismanagement leading to audit findings, amongst others. These are the critical and fundamental challenges that are facing us in this organization. So as we intervene and we seek to make this place glorious and a better place, we must understand what is important before us. These are the things that we need to address. We have adopted a risk-based approach in tackling these challenges. Our ability to mitigate the risk is critical in ensuring that our interventions realize their intended objectives. To address all these challenges and turn around the business of Prasa, key strategic interventions have been prioritized and their implementation need to be accelerated. Following the appointment of the Board of Control in October 2020, we signed what we call a shareholders compact, committing the board to delivering on key interventions meant to stabilize operations and improve the service offering to the users. The multi-pronged approach we have adopted, which targets restoring of the service while simultaneously building internal capacity, will ensure that the impact of our intervention is seen and felt within a short space of time. Now, restoring the service is part of what we're exposing you to, that there is a total shutdown of services and beyond the shutdown itself because of vandalism and theft that have occurred within the network. Gauteng Metro Rail is currently experiencing an alarming increase in the number of reported cases for infrastructure theft and vandalism, ranging from overhead electrical lines, which we have seen, electrical substations, as well as vandalism of stations and depot buildings. You would have seen today that most of our trains are running on electrical capacity in terms of the locomotives that we have. We have had to shift from that to diesel, which is very expensive for the company like Prasa because of the vandalism of substations. In those substations, you've got transformers which feed electrical capacity to the locomotives that pull the carriages on a daily basis. So that capacity is not limited, it's totally vandalized. So, and also you look at the pairways and have totally been destroyed, particularly in the part of the east of the network. The rise of vandalism and theft of critical infrastructure components, unprecedented levels, at the core is the illicit trading of copper and steel on the black market. While this is happening, we believe that part of the problem is leadership negligence. When we shut down the trains, there was vandalism. It did not start, but it means that we didn't take contingency measures to secure the lines and preserve the little that is left. Now, negligence kicked in and the entire network was brought down. So that's why we're struggling to bring back the corridors. And that is the function, part of the things that we're looking at and that need to be implemented. As part of our budget speech, we highlighted the state of vandalism in Prasa. As a follow to the minister's announcement, an oversight visit has been undertaken from what we have pronounced. The intensity of the damage caused at Prasa and for Prasa to unveil the recovery plan on how it will be fixed and secured. The group CEO and his team will speak to that and you will ask questions in terms of what you have seen, within what time, and the capacity, the costs involved. You will see that. You no longer want slogans. You want practicality as to how this is going to be undertaken. The group CEO and his team will basically respond to that. Despite the COVID-19 disruption, as at March 2021, 25 new trains had been provisionally accepted for delivery. This brings the total number of new trains delivered to date to 61. As at the end of February 2021, a total of 878 jobs were created in the rolling stock fleet renewal program through the company that is doing this in Niger, which is called Gibela. Chairperson, as we committed to returning to service our rail operations, we have identified the following corridors as priority corridors for service recovery this financial year. In Gauteng, we have prioritized Mabopane to Pretoria. This Mabopane was in the budget speech of the president, which is big in terms of the corridors that we've got in Gauteng. Leralla is on the side of Germiston, from where we come from, but we couldn't go. Naledi to Johannesburg in the morning. You took a ride if you wake up early from Naledi to is it Langlaagte? Yeah, Langlaagte. And then 4 is Pienaarspruit to Pretoria, Saulsville, Pretoria to Kaalfontein, Davidton to Johannesburg. And in the Western Cape, we have prioritized Cape Town to Cape Flats, Cape Town to Simonstown, Cape Town to Khayelitsha, and Captain's Cliff. In KwaZulu-Natal, we have prioritized Crossmore Line, Kelso Line, KwaMashu, Umlaas. In the Eastern Cape, East London to Berlin. For the mainline passenger services, Johannesburg to Cape Town, Johannesburg to Gqeberha, Johannesburg to East London, Johannesburg to Komatipoort, Johannesburg to Musina, Cape Town to East London, Johannesburg to Durban. The impact of COVID-19 restrictions exposed the vulnerability of our network, resulting in occupation of the rail reserve by people who built illegal settlement on the tracks and inside the reserve. This was further exacerbated by the wanton destruction, theft, and vandalism of our infrastructure. Currently, Prasa run Naledi Johannesburg line with a diesel locomotive Monday to Friday, and only single tickets are sold. I'm told that the Prasa board and management visited the station this morning. For my part, we started off at Mayfair Station. This station is part of the national station improvement. That's where we started program and part of the Gauteng corridors to be recovered in this financial year. There have been serious vandalism and theft of rail infrastructure, and the station is currently not operational. The recovery program will include rebuilding the station, inclusive roof networks, floor wall finishes and drainage, and stormwater works. The recovery of the station and anticipated time for the station to be operational is anticipated for March 2022. At Germiston Depot, the facility was designed to accommodate operational staff that includes the section managers, train drivers, metro guards, service drivers, and admin staff. We conducted the interview on the backdrop of this, and we're right there. That was our last visit at Germiston, where we come from. But you can see the level of negligence that even that place, which is a depot for train drivers and all of that, was flattened. So which means it's not a job that is done by syndicates out of tip off that there is no security. The place was not secured at all. No roofs, nothing. It's gone as we speak, and you have seen that for yourself. So we don't talk theory. The depot structure is situated in a critical and main junction to support the operation of trains to Kwesine, Vereeniging, New Canada via Boysen, Leralla, Davidton, and Johannesburg trains. Personnel belongings and working tools of the staff were stolen. At the moment, the staff has been accommodated in the signaling building earmarked for satellite CTC, for GNC. On security, Prasa have challenges with regard to security, which have left the infrastructure vandalized. This was as a result of the security contracts that were cancelled. But I need to hasten to say to you, just here in Park Station, we had security, but taps, when you go to the toilets, were vandalized whilst they were guarded. So you ask yourself the question, who is doing that? And what do we do with the security company that is undertaking the mission to protect the network? The plan that we've got in terms of security was informed by intelligence-driven operations, regulatory environment, and Prasa security response. Prasa adopted the strategy of having a fully fledged in-house security within the next 3 MTF period. But we have always said that that approach will also be complemented with security that will be contracted by Prasa to give us a full complement to fully guard the network. As we do the work that we're doing on the ground now to fix, in certain areas, after we've fixed signaling and all of that, replenished that work, at night people come back and steal. So, which means, as we fix, we must guard. And we must also guard the trains. You will have seen the overcrowding, but you can't fight overcrowding if you don't provide alternative. Trains are frequent, they arrive on time, and they depart the stations on time, and all of that to avoid the overcrowding. There is overcrowding, and it will worsen because we are providing a limited service. As we fix and we bring back the corridors that have collapsed since we have shut down with level 5 of COVID-19, we need to basically bring back these corridors and ensuring that they are properly secured. The Minister, together with the Board of Prasa, have launched the People's Responsibility to Protect, which is community mobilization strategy that involves communities in crime prevention, partnerships, and all of that. Prasa's business intelligence, with the help of law enforcement agencies and SAPs, continue to work around the clock to curb this escalating criminal activity. I can tell you now, as I move towards conclusion, that part of the problem we've got here, there are people who just don't deserve to work for Prasa. It's not a question of capacity, they just don't. Their heart and mind is no longer there. They simply come to work to mark the register. But secondly, it's a collapse of management, which we expect the Group CEO to bring that back on track with the support of the board. The new structure, organizational structure, that is responsive to the sort of challenges we've got. Like I said, when you talk about what happened in the vandalism, somebody should be responsible for that. If you say today, we will recover the corridors and we'll rebuild the infrastructure within this time period, who is overseeing that? Where is the team that is overseeing the recovery? Is there money for that? Is there proper accountability, awarding of contracts? In the past, this place was a place where contracts have been irregularly awarded. And can we be able to address that so that we are not in the bad books of the AG? And management have got its job cut out in this regard to ensure that things happen and happen accordingly. We've got a lot of things that must happen, and we've got to begin to categorize these things in terms of the short term, the long term, the medium term, and then deliver on those. The medium term and the short term is to get the corridors back and the trains running. Just in 2 intersections that we attended to, Kliptown and Davidton. On the other side, we have shattered and cut out 50,000 people commuting every day. And you can imagine what happens to those people. On the other side is 100,000 people. Germiston, 100,000 is east and west. So you'll understand east is from the side of Germiston. So 100,000 people are now committing, relying on something else. You can imagine how it affects their pocket. So with speed, we need to recover services and get trains running back. Whilst we continue with the fancy work of modernization, good stations, that work must continue. But of immediate, these services must come back. And we know most of the things happened around here because there was no management. The last time we had fully fledged management is when Lucky Montana was here. And that's when you had semblance of organization. Leave Tim Kulu and all other things. But there was operations here. There was something running here. There were people who were accountable. Since then to date, you have had about 6 acting people at the group level in terms of top positions. And other positions were actually vacant. And there was no board. All boards were acting. And there was no minister. All ministers were acting. So this was just a place vulnerable for vandalism. And in between that, where there was a minister, the board, and some management, there was conflict, infighting. So we don't minimize. We don't have time for infighting, for pettiness. We don't have time for that. I want the board to be able to follow up on these things and hold management accountable and give ZK support. I'm not going to come to this place ever again and talk about conflict. I want implementation. I want to visit, and I'm not going to put my foot off the pedal. I'm going to be here day in and day out without being in operations to ask the relevant questions. I want when Parliament comes here and say, you promised us this within this time frame, they are going to present to you now. I know some of our journalists are not eager for this kind of work, but it's important. Even if you are not eager, you'll be given packages. Please come back and ask questions. And I want to thank you for waking up. I know you wouldn't do it for anything because you've got to transmit this news to our people. And you have been with us in this room when we took difficult decisions and where we even took decisions in between to bring about administration in this place. And when we're even dealt with by the courts, and when we came back also from responding to what the courts have said to us. We have not wasted time with what the courts have said. We have moved with speed. We went to appoint the board. We went to appoint the group CEO. So we are operational. So all of these links, the board needs my support. The group CEO needs the support of the board in order to execute this mandate. So that tomorrow he must not say that I was unable to work because I was not being given support to work in this place. So he's got our support at all levels, even at cabinet, from the president downwards. So we expect this good work to be implemented, that they will present to you, to address including the issues of security, issues of vandalism, issues of recovering the lines, and all of that. And I leave it to you, Ayanda, and thank you very much. And thank you to the chair of the board, and thank you to the media also for waking up in the morning. I know it is Monday. We have disturbed your Monday, some of you. You normally on Mondays wake up at 2 o'clock. But today we broke the rules, and then we woke up early, and 5 o'clock we were on the ground. But thank you very much and for giving us the platform to explain some of these things and not running away from difficult things and holding us accountable. Thank you very much. Ayanda.
Thank you so much, Minister. Ladies and gentlemen, you would have